Masters and slaves, the morality of strength. What's up, folks? Justin Garcia here, a.k.a. Master Chim, and I am here. What are we going to call you? Fucking Master Whiteness. I'm not going to make you a slave. You're my man.
Nice. I'm glad.
Master Whiteness.
Awesome.
Patrick Kelly, White Boy Pat.
What's up?
And welcome to another episode of The Pressure Project. Today we have a pretty powerful episode planned for you. Now, full disclosure, I could probably say that at the beginning of every episode.
Every single episode we record.
If not for its validity, at least for my master morality applied
there you go.
To my given endeavor.
Yeah, that's
Right?
100% true.
I like that.
It's good.
Spinning shit already.
Applying what we're going to do to what we haven't done.
That's right. I don't know if that works, but we'll take it along with us. We'll take it along with us. Yeah. All right. So, thepressureproject.com is our website. Info at thepressureproject.com is our contact email. Please do us a favor and send us some messages. Send us some feedback. Let us know. What do you like? What do you dislike? What are we fucking up? Threaten my life.
Yeah,
it's
those are always fun.
It's happened. It's usually funny because I have yet to find. You know why I don't get nervous with death threats? Because I don't get my life threatened by anybody with the sort of mindset above like a 10-year-old.
This is true.
So you get this poorly written English. It's like, this guy can't pull it off.
Yeah, no.
Even if he really wanted to, he can't pull it. He's going to shoot himself in the face on the train.
Most likely.
On the train ride over.
Yeah, he's not going to make it.
Shoot himself in the face.
He's not going to make it. That's funny.
He shoots himself in the face. I should get that glory.
They don't threaten my life yet.
They don't, right?
I don't know. Have they?
They don't fuck with Whitey. That's what it is. They'll protest outside your house.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Me, I'll shoot. They're like,
they don't know.
You know. So
anywho.
So today we're going to talk about master morality, slave morality. Obviously, these phrases, these concepts are coined by Nietzsche, and he had a great deal to say about it. I don't want to stay on Nietzsche's writings and his work specifically. You know, he as a very powerful philosopher.
Yeah.
I'll save him, we'll save him for another day.
Okay.
But we are going to take this concept and we're going to apply it to a lot of the things that we feel represent masculinity.
So that sounds like a plan.
Right. So we are going to define, what he, and there's no official definition, at least not, outside of the context of his actual writings, but what master morality and slave morality are. All right. So with master morality, you get the morality of the strong-willed. Now, some of this is on Wikipedia. One of the things I noticed, little side note, I'm fucking tangent, man. One of the things I noticed is that you research something and you look at the Wikipedia. It's like the easy thing to check, right?
It's it's
the most accessible, So sometimes when I reference things that are found on Wikipedia, it's easier for the next guy to find out the information and continue.
Yeah.
But as you delve a couple of layers deeper, you see that like every blog and everybody just like has the same verbatim copy and pasted text.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's really terrible. We found, some good blogs with this information, some good books. I'm a fan of Nietzsche. I'm a student of Nietzsche. I'm not an expert yet. But a lot of his works are very misunderstood. And
I would agree. Yeah.
And when we see, and it's easy, especially the power players, fans of the podcast, how many times we discuss a subject that had you brought the subject up, on its face value in a mixed company, you're going to get a whole lot of negative feedback. You're getting a lot of resistance. But when we sit down and actually, work it out and process it, through our filters, right? We see that it's empowering stuff.
Yeah.
And with Nietzsche, I feel at least that a lot of that is the same exact situation. Nietzsche was not a proponent of the Nazi Party.
No.
The Nazi Party technically was founded, like almost 20 years after he died. Last 10 years of his life, Nietzsche was crazy. He had some mental illness. He went batshit. His sister was a conniving bitch.
Nice.
And she was very much a part of what eventually grew into the Nazi Party. And, she spun a lot of his works and, and published a lot of his stuff. after he was already gone, if not mentally, then, after he passed. And, he gets a bad rap. I see Nietzsche as somebody who has strength for days. Like he operates, he sees things the way powerful people see things.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And, he has a great positioning on how we could become stronger. Right. It's a lot of useful information for
a lot of
men.
Yeah,
I would say men. Anybody trying to become more powerful. So, master morality, the morality of the strong-willed. What is good is what is helpful. What is bad is what is harmful. The will to power, which is another concept of Nietzsche's, is a very central component to this mindset.
Yeah.
Now, the metaphor that I always use when describing master morality is it's very related to what I described in human rights. Right?
Yeah.
If you're alone in the woods, any morality that could be applied to your survival in the woods is what would be parallel and congruent with a master morality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anything that helps your mission of survival and success and flourishing, anything that helps it, you're going to consider good. Anything that sabotages it, impedes it, gets in your way, you would consider bad.
Correct.
So it's a way of looking at things in a very sort of almost selfish type of perspective, but one where, I hate using the word selfish because it has so many negative connotations with people.
Yeah.
But it's really where we're taking into account what we're capable of doing, what we want to do. And it's really an ultimate accountability.
Yeah, well, if you're alone in the woods in a survival situation,
right,
wouldn't you want to be selfish?
Right. And
that's the whole fucking point. You're going to want to live.
Absolutely. And the whole thing is, think about, let's say, your level of effort.
Yeah.
Right. Being alone in the woods, your level of effort is going to be probably as high as it could possibly be.
Yeah, out of necessity.
Because it's live or die.
Yeah.
And it's a very black and white example,
Sure.
But it illustrates the point. But now, as soon as you start to take into consideration a group and group dynamics start to take place, now there are going to be people that don't have to give 100% of the time. So it eventually grows into something different. And let's talk about slave morality.
Okay.
So Nietzsche's slave morality, you could say is the morality of the weak. If the master morality is the morality of the strong-willed, the slave morality is the weak-willed morality. Unlike the master morality, which is sentiment, and what that means is the master morality basically establishes his own morality.
Yeah.
His view of the world is his morality. The slave morality pretty much takes their master's morality and sort of repurposes it as a way to define his own. Right?
Yeah.
So with the different interpretations or translations of the works of Nietzsche, you have people that use the word resentiment, which is, similar to resentment. It's also been, I believe, translated as envy, in English. And what it is you're describing basically your own identity, or you use your own sense of identity as a means of really reflecting its comparison to another.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's a central theme, I think, in a lot of the things that create weakness in today's men.
100%. Caring what other people think.
Right.
Basing your values off what other...
Yeah, we'll get into that. We're jumping ahead.
Couldn't help.
The 5-minute fucking episode. Let's go eat.
Let's go.
Jesus Christ.
Other thing, also the reflections. Maybe you mentioned...
Right, and that's something, we've been using
a
little bit more frequently lately. Having people's identities as nothing more than reflections of the identities of other people.
Yeah.
Right. And, it's funny in SIOC, you get the, SIOC Kali is something that Pat and I both practice. It's a Filipino martial art, and it's so much more than that. It's so much more.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
It's so much more than just, hitting people with weapons, and there's, one of the big components of its philosophy is be the feeder, right? The feeder mindset.
Yeah.
And very congruent with a lot of these sentiments of, being the one that is in control of his own destiny.
Correct.
Not existing as a reflection or as a reaction of somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% true.
So powerful people tend to think the same way.
They
right?
do. That's
in Psyoc you see it, completely.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some examples.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, because the whole thing is, when you say master and slave, immediately everybody's pissed off. All the weak people are pissed off, I should say.
Well, not the masters.
Right. Not the masters at all. Because think about it. If you're a master,
Yeah.
slaves don't exist. Like we were talking about this before. I said,
Yeah.
when's the last time, you got pissed off that an ant pissed on your shoe?
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't even exist. The worlds or the emotions of flies don't exist to us.
They don't.
And when you talk about slave morality, so much of who they are is dependent upon their relationship, the dynamic between themselves and their masters.
Yeah.
So they lose that sense of sort of power and autonomy, self-reliance, individuality. They become now a lesser version of themselves.
That's
right?
true.
So in when you talk about slaves and morale and masters and slaves, we're not reducing this to just the historical notion of what a master and a slave are. Meaning we're not looking at a history lesson of what played out in the many examples throughout history of slavery.
True. I bet you though someone's going to read this title and immediately start talking.
Welcome to my world. Like it is what it is. And I'm a copywriter. I know how to put a little spice on shit.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit,
give a little bite, right?
Yep.
So
just enough,
a tinge, if you will.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're not going to be limited to are just the historical accounts of what slavery was.
Correct, because that's not really what we're talking about.
It's not at all.
No.
It's much more abstract. It's much more philosophical. And it really gets into the psychology of a man. And let's talk about some examples.
All right, let's do it.
Job security versus entrepreneurial risk.
Okay.
All right. So, I don't know how you grew up where this was concerned. Like, what was the model? What was the language that was going on? But talk a little bit about what you saw growing up, not only amongst your family, but also amongst your friends and the people you worked with and stuff. Like, what was your impression of working for somebody, having that security? You know, remember when we had Johnny Storm on? Everybody in his neighborhood took all the tests for all the city jobs.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's what everybody did.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your degree just to fall back on, right? Like that ever fucking made any sense. But what is your experience with that? What's your position?
Yeah, well, always since I was little, it was always find something you really want to do. Figure out what that is and do it. It was never a thing where it's like, listen, what you need to do is get a union job, go do this, go do that, make sure it's secure. Yeah, it was more just, listen, if you find something you really want to do it 100%. That's how it was for my family. I have family members that went the union route and they are successful. I have family members that went the fire department, police, you know what I mean? And they all followed their path and they're enjoying it. But they actually found what they really wanted to do.
Right.
They wanted to be firemen. They wanted to be police officers. So it worked out for them. As far as my friends, it was very similar. People, they just want to find what they wanted to do and do it. They were willing to risk failing as opposed to succeeding in something they didn't want to do. You know what I mean? Like that's how it was. For me, like I remember, even in school, like when I went to college, like I wanted to do film. And it was cool. That's what I did, so it ended up working out for me, and I didn't settle really, you know what I mean?
Right. So in our experience together, you were somebody who had a job.
Yeah.
That very early on, I saw that you were a risk taker. And everyone that really sort of gets ahead, everybody that dominates their potential, is a risk taker, and it's really a risk that's labeled a risk by other people.
It is.
So they themselves, they don't see it as a risk. They see it as really the expression of who they are.
Yeah.
So I remember growing up, my father, he had trouble finding work when I was much younger. And, whatever the case was, I felt it was probably because he was a little too dark for some people. And the people that didn't care how dark he was didn't like that my mother was also so light.
Yeah.
So it pissed people off,
It's a 1-2 punch.
Right. So my father was was extremely hard worker. But very early on, even when he secured a good job, a union job, he when he had the opportunity, he went into management. I remember he was a hospital engineer, like an HVAC engineer in Mount Sinai Hospital.
Cool.
And I remember when the union went on strike, standing on the picket lines, because like we were off from school and like my father's watching us and we're there on picket lines.
Nice.
And, he's showing his support. He's part of his tribe and he's doing it. But he fucking wants to work. He wants first opportunity. He was out of there, became
right
management. But despite everything that happened in his regular job, my father always hustled, always had, like I've said this before in podcasts, during the 80s, if you had a small business in the Bronx, chances are my father fixed your air conditioner at some point.
That's awesome.
And he always, always, always found ways to make extra money, to make more, to do what he wanted to do. He enjoyed the sort of expression of his ability, by doing this side work. And for me, that was the model that I followed, and I had a very atypical, I would imagine upbringing, being, just think about how much we moved and the different cultures, on either side of my family. And, it was a unique journey. I remember being a senior in high school. I did well my senior year of high school. And I wound up getting a congressional nomination to Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy.
Okay.
So now when you're in high school, and you get the opportunity to go to, an academy, a federal academy, it's $100,000 plus education.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
It's a huge deal.
That's huge.
And I was going to play football, but like they're a Division III program, at the time, so I was going to play football, but it wasn't, any football scholarship or anything. I had good grades, good SAT score. I got a congressman to nominate me, to become appointed to the academy.
That's awesome.
And I wound up going on a visit. You visit colleges, you see what's going on. So I went there and I was there for a weekend. And when I got back, I told my mother, I remember telling my mother, I was like, "Mom, I can't go to that school." And she's like, "Why? What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I'm going to be thrown out in 6 months. There's no way."
Yeah.
Because it was a military academy.
Yep.
It was, you're not allowed to look at upperclassmen. You're not like, and at that time in my life, and it's a decision I've never regretted, I just knew I wasn't going to be, I had a little bit too much Joe Pesci in me at that age, and it wasn't going to work. And I'd wind up jamming myself up even worse.
Maybe even fucking up your future.
Right. So for me, it was, very similar. I tried to get into the Army when I was in my early 20s.
Yep.
And I was going through this whole process because I had a record from when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was just something that it was almost like a formality. But I wound up with the laziest recruiter ever. And I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to sort of basically keep my life on hold while I'm waiting for this guy to bring me to the last interview.
Yeah.
To where I get approved and I'm able to go. I took the test, physical, just needed some, and I don't know the way it works exactly, but I needed some, officer to sign off on my, entry and I would have been shipped away to boot camp. And
it was Army?
It was the Army.
Yeah.
Because my father was in the Army. So I was like, you went, I'm going to go to the Army.
It makes sense.
And it would take almost 6 months. So I got to the point where I told the recruiter, I said, "Look, if you don't do this by the end of the month, that's it.
Yeah. I'm moving on.
I got to move on because I am a guy who wants to be productive.
And waiting around is bullshit.
It's a slave mentality.
Yeah.
Some people in that situation would be like, when they're done, they're done. I can tell everybody, look, I don't have to get a job. I'm waiting for the Army to take. But to me, I was just going absolutely insane waiting for this thing.
That makes sense.
And sure as shit, I tell him by the end of the month, If you don't call me, it's not going to happen.
It's over. Yeah.
End of the month happens. Mentally, I was just someplace else.
Yeah.
And what happens? I get a call like a week later. That's it. We're ready. We got you. And I was like, there's no way. Now, at that point, he'd have to take me hostage.
Yeah.
I was so moved in another direction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One more example. The Ultimate Fighter.
That was a good
We
one.
were just discussing this the other day.
It's a big one.
So I auditioned for season 6 of The Ultimate Fighter. And I made it to the stage where I was in Vegas. I got the physicals done. I was interviewed by the producer.
Cool.
And I was one of the alternates.
Yeah.
And when I was made one of the alternates, and I was down to the last 20. When I left Vegas, I was like, one of the producers told me I was in the final 20.
That's awesome.
So 16 people go on the show. I'm like,
yeah, you're right there.
80%, I'm in there. Definitely, I'm in there.
Yeah.
So I remember getting a call. I remember exactly where I was. I was in Patricia's Italian restaurant on Morris Park Avenue.
Nice. Good
and
place.
I was with Angel, right? We
Yeah.
were sitting there and the phone rang and I saw it was the producer, a lady named Jamie, real nice lady. And I was like, this is it.
Yeah, here it is. They're calling me.
I walked outside. I was like, hello?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, Justin, unfortunately, you're an alternate. So I'm like, you're fucking with me, right? And she's like, no, and I'll never forget this. She said the producers felt that, because Matt Serra was one of the coaches that year.
Yeah.
And she said the producers felt it was a redundant casting. I'll never forget that phrase. So it's a redundant cat, me and Matt Serra. So
Yeah. Two guys from,
yeah,
completely different places.
I'm Puerto Rican from the Bronx, goddamn. We both, all right, we're short, stocky jiu-jitsu guys with New York accents, but
yeah, but that's not.
it really stops there.
It really does.
And, I've always liked Matt Serra, but he and I would play out differently, but whatever. I'm starting to get pissed off. So whatever the case was, she tells me you're the second alternate. So out of 5,
Okay.
I was the second alternate.
All right.
Who was the first alternate? Fucking War Machine.
War Machine. That worked out.
Somebody gets injured on the first day of training. I don't know any of this until after the fact.
Yeah.
They bring in War Machine.
Yeah.
So I didn't know I was one more injury away from being on the show.
That's some bullshit.
But what a lot of people don't know is for season 7, I was contacted by a producer and told, this was the first season that they had to fight to get into the house.
Yeah.
I was contacted by a producer and the producer said, look, you got a spot. You
Fuck.
can fight. Just come in, show up.
You're good.
You're good. You win, you're in.
Yeah.
Mentally, I was done.
You were like, nah.
I was done. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it was, again, just when you don't live your life according to other people's timelines.
Yeah.
This is a very typical, natural,
The value of that
mentality
was gone.
Yeah.
You were just like, no, I've already moved past that, but thanks.
Right. So when you talk about job security versus entrepreneurial risk, the people who want to take chances are the people that are going to get ahead. There are, there's the saying goes, the world needs ditch diggers too.
One of my favorites.
Right. And it's kind of hard. It's funny when you talk about the sort of inherent risk, ironically, of talking about this subject material is that you still need a janitor.
Yeah.
You still somebody needs to pick up the garbage.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to dig the ditch. Somebody needs to do all those things that, that aren't what entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless the guy who's cleaning the urinals is coming up with like the fucking revolutionary urinal cake. He's gonna make a fucking $1 million.
Right. Well, and that, that would be a way to look at it.
Yeah.
But most of them don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Most of them clean the toilets.
Yeah, just
and they go home.
Yep.
They heat up their dinner. They watch the news. They go to sleep. They wake up the next day, do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I would argue that the nature of man is not congruent with that lifestyle.
Not at all.
I would argue that the nature of man is one of exploration, is one of risk, is one of pressure, is one of dealing inherently with the risk associated with life, with reality.
100%.
And finding that sort of stability is crippling. It's the phrase of using a crutch. It's his crutch. What that phrase tries to imply or infer is that you have somebody who is losing his own ability to do something because of the support he's receiving from something else.
Yeah.
And I would argue that that's what that sort of safety gives you.
It does.
You know, a lot of my good friends,
Yeah.
always complaining about the job. I talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Not going to put him out there, but he knows who I'm talking about. I hate, I see you, motherfucker. I hate my job. Then quit.
Yeah, then quit.
Oh, I can't. I have
but
this
I got
bill.
this.
Then shut up.
Yeah.
Because you can't quit. It sounds to me like if you lose this job, your entire life is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Why aren't you more grateful for this fucking job then?
It's true.
You've managed to put yourself in a position where you cannot be happy no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Pretty
Like
much.
you just want to be woe is me.
Yeah.
And I'm not the guy to have that conversation with.
Definitely not.
When
I first joined the school, I said the day one I would open a school.
Mm-hmm.
I would open a school. I let you know. I let everybody know. Some people were like, "You just joined this fucking fat white kid," But I knew I was going to do it because I had that focus and I was willing to take the risk. I was willing to risk everything.
Right.
Spend money I don't even have because I don't give a fuck. Let's make it happen. Let's
and
go.
it's something that a lot of people can't deal with. Like I'm a cowboy with my money.
Well, yeah.
I got an idea. Like let's go. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Sink or swim. If it happens,
Right.
We'll go all in.
Right. There. One of the things I've done throughout my business career is I've slept on my couch from time to time. I slept on the floor from time to time, and I've slept in my car from time to time.
Yeah.
And there's a reason I do this because to me, it's a me thing, but people probably have different ways of doing this. For me, it was a way to stay grounded.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not good enough, or I'm not too good, or so weak that I can't do what people that are struggling do.
Yeah.
I'm constantly proving that I could be and maintain my resilience.
Yeah.
Even in the face of success.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can't get lazy, can't get complacent ever.
Right.
Never be comfortable.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Union job, nice secure job. Like sometimes you get a little too comfortable with that shit.
Absolutely. And and there are plenty of people who use that just as a means to do other things.
Sure.
And that's what it's all about.
That's what
it's all about.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
All right. So another example, and we see this all the time: physical safety versus potentially dangerous adventure.
Yeah.
Or like extreme sports.
Sure.
Now we own, MMA academies.
Yes.
And I hate calling it an MMA academy, by the way, but it's the thing that people understand. Right?
Yeah.
What do we train? We're a martial arts academy. We're a warrior academy.
Yeah.
But say MMA academy, everyone goes, oh. You say warrior academy, you do kung fu. Like,
yeah. It's like,
no, it's, MMA, whatever. So, anywho, with what it is that we do, so many times we see people who are like, good for them. They deserve credit. They're here. But you see that they have never gotten into any type of physical conflict in their life.
Yeah, it's true.
They've never played a sport. And I always joke around to the guys, the way you tell somebody, if somebody's ever been, into some shit, is you grab him by the arm real quick when he doesn't see, and you see what he does. This is the test, right?
Yeah.
I told you guys how to make a boy before, right?
Yeah, so we've learned that.
This is the bitchometer, right? This is the bitchometer.
Yeah.
So you see if a guy's a bitch. What you do is you grab his arm.
Yeah.
If he flexes and makes himself rigid, he's been through some shit.
Yeah.
If you grab him and he immediately relaxes his arm, he's a little bitch. He's a little bitch. You do what you want. You can tell him put his finger in your pocket, walk him around,
hold my pocket,
send him go fucking buy me some ice cream. Go buy me some ice cream.
Yeah,
you could do whatever you want to the guy.
You look sweet, boy.
Looking mighty fine in them jeans.
You're looking sweet. Got purr to mouth. Come on, bring that purr to mouth.
All right, another direction.
Yeah, it's going too far. But fuck it, all in.
So that is somebody who is just not prepared for reality.
What if he's insane?
Well, there's always a possibility, but we don't.
He looks at you. He's like,
right. We don't factor in the exceptions. But the thing is, you ever see the animals like on nature shows and stuff?
Yeah,
they're kept in these like these. I don't know, what are they called?
What, like a cage?
Not cages, like these places. I'm just having a brain fart right now. These nature preserves,
yeah.
Or it's like really like a rehabilitation.
Like a terrarium?
No, it's not a fucking terrarium. Fucking terrarium.
It's like little thing.
Fucking those frogs, you fucking idiot. So I'm talking about,
funny.
all right, Guru Tiffany
Okay.
from SIOC.
Sure.
She's in Africa right now working with
Okay.
rehabilitating gorillas.
That's cool.
You know, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but this is one of those things where gorillas, primates, apes that are either attacked or survive, like the poachers or whatever the case is, they go to this, you know, this place and they're rehabilitated and eventually set back into the wild.
I see. Yeah.
Right. And that, with a lot of these sort of nature shows, you see that's the goal. Well, think about people, right?
Yeah.
Think about how many people are nowhere near, nor are even working towards being able to survive in the wild.
Yeah, they want the opposite.
You know, and I'm not saying literally like going to the fucking woods.
No, I get it.
You know, what I'm saying is pulling away every single social crutch that they have supporting them right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, I have the Donald Trump, you know, Donald Trump, master morality, feeder. Donald Trump, he's walking, I think, with his then wife. I don't even know if he's still married to her, Marla Maples. And they just had dinner at a fancy restaurant and they're walking by a homeless man. And he goes, "It's funny. I wouldn't have guessed, you know, that guy," and I'm paraphrasing, that guy, you know, is worth $300 million more than I am. And she said, "What are you talking about? The guy's, you know, homeless. You know, you're Donald Trump, you know." And he said, "Well, I'm 300 million in the hole right now, and he's at fucking zero, you know?"
Yeah, so he wins.
But it's like, here he is. He's back on top because none of that shit matters.
No.
He's ready to go into his most natural state at any point.
Yeah.
Right. You know, we always say physically, you know, in terms of fighting, one of the things when you're preparing for reality and the physical, the violent aspect of reality, you know, these conflicts don't work on a schedule.
Yeah,
you know, they work on the schedule of reality. They don't work on your schedule.
True.
So it's almost like, you know, you have these guys that get ready for MMA fights. They train 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case is. And then they fight, you know, with rules or referee. You know, understand that is probably one of the more extreme versions of sport. But all sport is nothing but a way to satisfy our innate, you know, nature, our innate sort of tendencies and sort of affinity for violence and domination.
True.
And, you know, because that's inherent in survival. And all of it having to do with the master morality.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at some point, even some of the way they train other schools, it's safe.
Right. Well, you know what?
Like safe to a point where it's like almost unrealistic.
I'm not going to badmouth other schools. Yes, we're awesome. Yada yada yada. But that's not what I'm trying to
We
get.
have friends that are awesome too.
Right. We absolutely do. But there are also people who fucking their school sucks and they still win fights.
Yeah, true.
You know, so that's neither here nor there. The big go ahead.
One of the things we did, I remember we had the power outage for a while. We had no power, right? So we still did training. We did all of our normal training in a freezing cold, pitch black place.
Right.
I remember some people were like, you know, is this safe? And I said to them, I was like, well, if someone attacks you in an alley, you're going to say, hold on a second, turn the lights on, turn the heat on, let's make this safe.
Which sounds like a lot of bullshit to somebody who's in part of the equation. But I've also done that when nothing was wrong with the power.
Yeah, just shut it off.
MMA training.
Yep.
You know, anybody that's watched the Monday Night Violence videos, there have been classes like that where I've just turned off the lights and everyone stops. I go, and then they hear my voice, "Don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yep.
Keep going. I'll let you know when the round's up." And immediately, like, everybody's brought to a level of discomfort that I want them at. Pressure to power.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Uncertainty. You know?
Right. I've gotten like some of the other things. I love talking about this shit.
Yeah,
There's been times where I've stood everybody up. Everybody put your gi jacket on.
Yeah.
You know,
that was a lot of fun.
We just start sparring, you know, with a gi jacket.
There's one time you hung us on the ropes. You left us there.
Right.
You said, "All right, we'll leave it for 10 minutes." It was like an hour and a half. You left us up in the dark, hanging on the ropes. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, you remember that.
Fucking awesome shit.
That was
man.
a lot of fun.
So I never had a coach like fucking you guys have, man. I wish. Because that sounds amazing.
It was awesome.
Oh, fucking I flogged you guys before.
Yeah,
like
done a whole bunch of shit.
You know, everyone up on your feet. You and your partner stand in front of each other, slap each other in the face.
Yeah, that was
slap
awesome.
each other in the face 10 times.
Yep.
You know, if anybody doesn't slap themselves hard, I'm gonna come over and slap you.
Yeah.
So I would slap the shit out of each other.
There was one time we did that, and I don't know. I slipped one of them like an asshole. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like almost instinctually. I was like, all right, hit me harder now. Like now you should punch me with your fucking closed fist.
Right. So the whole thing is when you're talking about the exact opposite of that, you're not talking about a master morality. The whole safety, being secure, you want to be taken care of. You don't want to upset the people that provide your reality.
Yeah.
And that's slave morality.
It is.
Another example, sort of achieving versus working towards acceptance.
Yeah.
Do you do things to achieve it, or do you do things to become more accepted? Achievement is master morality.
Yeah.
If you are the guy in the woods, bringing it back there, if you're the guy in the woods, there's nobody to impress.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Your whole existence is achievement.
True.
Wanting to get it done, getting it done, and the feeling that comes with getting it done. It has nothing to do with doing something that allows a sort of synthetic, energy from other people.
There's no pat on the back.
Right.
There's no good job card.
Good job card. Right. There is none of that.
No.
The pressure.
The pressure quest.
So
bro, good job, I hear.
Right. So for the kids, we had certificates.
Yes, that was cool.
And one of the things I did for the kids is, you want to build that. You're really enabling their legacy. When this kid who started at, our sons are 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
When they're 20 and they have these certificates from when, they were
cool.
7, it's cool. And it creates a sort of a body of work that they can now repackage for the next generation, right?
Yeah.
That's how we climb.
Yeah.
But for the adults though, no. So
Good
what
job.
we did, they won their division, I took a Sharpie and I put first place, good job. I
Yeah,
wrote it on their
and that
palm.
was it.
We took a picture like that.
That was awesome.
Because I told them that should be the notoriety
Yeah.
of winning, and it was an in-house tournament we were holding.
And it was funny that we made the joke that you could show everybody, and that half the time it rubbed off before the end of the day, showing the significant, you know what I mean? That was perfect.
Right. We're here for the pressure.
Yeah.
Right. We're here for the pressure.
We're not here for the.
Let the power take care of itself, but we know we just have to seek out more pressure. So there are people that one of the things, and I have something else here written that's very much connected.
Yeah.
Vanity is inferiority. It's insecurity.
Yeah. It's pride.
Right. It's pride, and it's a pride. So I don't even want to call it pride.
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
pride. You could have pride.
You
in
could
yourself,
have good pride.
Right? You could have pride by yourself.
Yeah.
Vanity is the kids in the hood buying the $200, $300 sneakers.
Yeah. When they can't afford that.
Right. And and the real thing is, it's funny. Obviously, it's valid to observe that they can't afford it. The real thing that brings it, or the real commentary from this subject or this perspective on that, is they're valuing something that was given value by somebody else.
Yeah.
So the slave morality is their value system is a repurposed value that's established by people of the master morality. So when you have, kids in the hood that are spending $300 on sneakers, when $300 could give them online learning programs, books,
100%.
Trips to fucking museums, or there's so many things you could do with $300. When they spend that on a pair of sneakers, it's no wonder why this slave morality keeps cycling through generation to generation.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with vanity is you'll get guys, and we've spoken about this before, and great talk we had with Jack Donovan when he was on a podcast. Guys who sort of value themselves according to how they do with women.
Yeah, or what women think of them.
Right.
Yeah, which is
and
bad.
I'd say it's a very Nietzschean observation to say, or at least congruent with what Nietzsche says, to say that, a guy who values himself based on how well he does with women is still, whether he realizes it or not, creating a value system that is established by others.
It is 100%. Yeah.
All the women like you, you feel good. All the women hate you, you feel bad. So the women decide how you feel about yourself.
Yeah. They're in control, of you.
Right. So, it's funny. I have one of my guys always giving me shit for being fat, right? And
Yeah.
and I love the guy. He's not a hero there who he is, but just to use it as an opportunity to express a point. I remember telling him, you're right. You're in great shape. I just want a powerlifting meet. This fat body. I just want a powerlifting meet. I went. I prepared for something. I showed up, and I made it happen. And other men were trying to vie against me, and I won. I dominated them.
Yeah.
And I walked away the victor that day. But what'd you do? And the whole thing is, I'm trying to help him by having this
100%.
conversation. I'm trying to just tell him, like, look,
you're putting the fucking eggs in the wrong basket.
Like, what is it, about, and this is a much broader question, more general, is what is it about people that they think, looking great to other people somehow gives them value or gives them achievement?
Yeah.
And
it's true.
When you talk about like my life, me individually, I have a beautiful wife, successful business, great friends, awesome fucking kids. Like there's so many great things. Am I supposed to somehow look at myself as less powerful because I don't have a six pack?
I don't think so.
Like, how weak does somebody have to be that is the sort of value system that he applies to his existence?
Yeah.
You're valuable. You're on this earth. You're here for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And the only thing you could point to in terms of accomplishment is your abdominal muscles.
Yeah. Like in Fight Club, it's like, is that what a man's supposed to look like?
Right.
The underwear models.
And that's the whole thing. And, it has to do with really, you're the man in the woods. Who are you? Like there's powerlifters that get shit because, well, I guess I'm one of them technically, right? But
yeah,
powerlifters, strongmen. Oh, look at them. They all look fat. Like these guys are amazing.
They don't give a fuck about any of that
and
shit.
They don't give a fuck about what you do, what you think.
At the powerlifting meet, that was cool to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't a
Nobody gives a shit. I mean, it's all about what can you do.
Yeah.
Not how do you look, what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do?
And even bodybuilding, I bodybuilded before competitively. And even that is much more than, just how do you look. It's really how were you able to make yourself look compared to where you started. So it's an accomplishment.
It is.
Shit, you can go and fucking look at one of those commercials. You rent a kid for 52 cents a day. Some of those kids have abs.
Yeah,
Are you supposed to look at those kids and go, oh, man, those kids are fucking crushing it, man.
Yeah, look at
those kids. Like, no. It's easy to say, well, they have nothing to do with what we're talking about. No, it's exactly where it begins, though. Look at that. Let that put it in perspective.
Yeah.
You're going to give that kid a pair of sneakers?
Yeah.
Is that going to help him out?
Yeah, no.
You're going to let that that 20-year-old guy who is poverty stricken, let's do a fundraiser, but the fundraiser, we're going to have him date chicks.
Yeah.
Let's get him laid.
Let's get him laid.
That'll help his fucking problems,
Let's get all the kids in Africa laid.
So
no food.
You wanna have your priorities set on things that aren't based on other people's value systems as a man.
Yeah, 100%.
It's master morality.
Yep.
So let's move on to the next section, which is I know I'm with it already. You saw him. So he was reminding me of our mantle,
just to be safe.
Completely going against everything we've talked about.
I was being ironical.
You were being ironical.
Yes.
All right. He was being ironical.
I was trying to keep a straight face when I said it.
All right.
See, now when I do stupid shit
I'll
like
let
that,
you off the hook. I'll let you off.
You can see it now in my face. They say, "Oh, he's
I'm going to look
joking."
at the videotape.
Yeah, I was like, "Be safe." I made the face anyway.
So what we have here is a plaque that we bought after we accomplished something in the school, my school, and this was called Operation 200. Now, Operation 200 was one day I decided, let's do something to sort of rally the troops. Let's do something that allows everybody to sort of have a sense of accomplishment. It brings the ritual, component of what a competition is, and brings it up a notch. And I said, let's take all of our students, drive the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Get at least 200 people to show up to a single tournament.
It was awesome.
It was incredible.
The build up leading up to it was huge.
I busted my ass. I was on social media, emails, in the school. I was
making fucking crazy
right.
everything.
Pictures, videos,
Yep.
memes, everything, trying to get these people motivated. I had all the coaches here basically just harassing people.
Yeah.
You know, we lost a couple people quit during the preparation because they were too fucking
Good.
weak.
Yeah,
you know,
it was like, all right.
They're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to compete. Leave me alone.
Look at you making me be strong. I just want to be a loser. It's like, all right.
So can I just be the janitor?
Don't be a fish. Remember we came with that.
Don't be a fish.
Don't be a fish.
Yeah, no, fish. That's what we called the people who didn't want to.
Didn't want to do it.
Didn't want to do it. Fucking fish.
We made the picture with the fish head.
Right.
McGee. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
So what we did was we wound up having, I think it was 206 competitors.
I don't remember. I think it might be 212 or I think it was a double digit second.
Was
number.
it?
Yeah.
So whatever it is, we fucking got
It was
to
over 200. So
we got to 200. It was my son's first competition.
oh, that's awesome.
He
I remember that.
One of the things that sucked was,
Yeah.
it fucking sucks all the time,
Yep.
is that, you know,
There was so many of us.
I've never coached my son. I was never able to coach my son because, you know, I'm Master Chim. I'm the, you know, the head of the school, the head of the system. And, you know, when my son competed in this, he was competing against another jungle gym kid.
Because we had so many fucking
We had
people
so
there.
many fucking people.
So it was
And
unavoidable.
they were like in the smallest division and
Yeah,
stuff.
yep.
So it was like 6 jungle gym
you
kids.
sat there and just watched.
Oh,
Didn't say
there's a
fucking word.
picture of me and my wife watching my son's match. And, you know, like I'm dying. I love my son. I'm dying to coach my
They're
son.
like, good job. Keep
Keep doing.
moving.
You guys look
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
You know, and it's like, but I would never coach against another
Of
one my
course,
students,
we can't
you know?
do that.
So, but that was Operation 200. So it's funny when I first said it, a bunch of the guys, and this is worth noting, a bunch of the guys in the school thought it was like, you know, they thought it was a joke. There's no way we're gonna get 200 people.
It was always going to happen.
All the coaches that work with me, you know, day in and day out, like immediately they knew it was gonna happen.
As soon as it became an idea, it was like that's
Right.
going down.
So now, you know, full disclosure, at the time we had 3 locations, and you know, so what does it average out to? Fucking 70 people, you know, a location, and you know, it was still such a concerted effort on everybody's part.
We
to bring
really
everybody
pushed
together.
hard for that.
And it was, you know, and we did it. So this is the plaque we got to symbolize that. And what we did was we put everybody that competed here on it. So right here up at the upper left, you have Hayden's name, right?
I'm right there.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So it was cool.
Yeah, it was
You know,
awesome.
Chloe, fucking Bat Boy. So with this was a symbol for all the students that, you know, it's not about what you think, you know, what this weaker version of yourself, you know, thinks it can accomplish.
Yeah.
To imagine you were strong. What is that guy telling you you're able to do?
Yeah.
You know?
True.
And, you know, this was a great representative of that. Right. So we're going to, what do you think? It's going to slide.
It'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Bam. All right. So Operation 200. And this is at Grappler's Quest that we did this.
Correct.
And this was March 24th and 25th of 2012. So almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
All right. Pretty cool. And this is where we officially became the largest competition team in the world.
In the world.
In the world, God damn it.
Yeah, very
Now,
cool.
what does that mean? That means, you know, one family showed up to one tournament over 200 deep. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So-
it was good.
So now let's move on to the pressure player and the unicorn.
All right,
so
let's do it.
pressure player, I mean, it's a gimme. It's Nietzsche. Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche.
Wilhelm.
Wilhelm.
That's a good name.
Wilhelm.
Yeah, he pretty knows his shit.
He knows his shit, and he has, Mike, he's the guy that I read his stuff, especially his earlier stuff. You know, obviously, you know, if you know anything about his life story, he was battling with mental illness last 10 years of his life. He was institutionalized. I don't know if he was institutionalized or taken care of by his family, maybe a combination of the two.
Yeah.
But early on, you know, a couple things that come from Nietzsche is, you know, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's the classic that everyone says.
You know, but the will to power, the Übermensch,
Yeah.
right? The Superman, you know, the Overman, they call it, depending on the translation. This notion of we just being a link between where we came from to where we're going. And this next version of ourselves being this person who is the master morality, you know,
Yeah.
the sort of the powerful individual who sort of plays by his own rules.
Yeah.
Right. So Nietzsche, he gets a bad rap in a lot of circles.
Sure.
But true scholars of Nietzsche understand that he was such an incredible source of strong thinking. And, he was one of the guys that, was he a tough guy? No. Was he a ladies' man? By no means.
Did he fight?
Was
he a fighter?
No, he was in the military.
Okay.
I'm almost certain he was in the military. But he wasn't a tough guy. He was, in his 20s, mid-20s, he was like a philosophy teacher. He was an intellectual. But just he's a guy that called it the way it was.
Yeah.
So I always respect people who will keep it real, so to speak, even potentially to their detriment.
True. Yeah.
It's what's right is right. Whether I follow it or not, is a separate story, but what's right is what's right. And Nietzsche is somebody who just really, sort of articulated so many concepts so powerfully that I think every man should read Nietzsche. I mean, obviously that's my guy.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
So for this particular episode, because we've taken from so much of his writings, and he's such a great representative of the type of thinking that we're trying to encourage men to adopt or reclaim. You put this down at one point in history, pick the shit back up.
Agreed.
Another thing that we didn't really touch on, and I want to now, is Nietzsche talks about the slave morality becoming more prevalent as the Roman Empire became Christian.
Yeah, true.
And Christianity following, a sort of meek,
meek shall inherit the earth.
Right. And sort of victimized a deity in Jesus, in the story of Jesus, and how everybody was basically encouraged to accept their fate, understand that, look, there are bigger powers at play. And, if you follow the rules and sort of stay in your lane, you'll have, reward in the next life.
Yeah. Not this life, next life.
Right. The ultimate con, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But,
definitely.
But that goes against what master morality is all about.
It does.
This whole, sit down, know your role, don't rock the boat, don't step out of your place. Like, master morality, there's no place for that when you're talking about master morality.
Yeah.
Another point, I forgot. But so the pressure player is Nietzsche, and he's the man. Now the unicorn. Unicorn is a certain type of a person.
Yep.
And I call people this all the time, and we call them the mama bears.
The mama bear. Yeah.
Right. So the mama bears are the people that think they're helping. Their intentions are often good.
Yeah.
Very akin to what a mother's intentions would be with a child.
Yep.
And what they wind up doing, though, in an attempt to help somebody, they wind up sabotaging the sort of growth and manifestation of strength in the individual.
Yep. They take the power for themselves.
Right. And they don't see it that way.
No.
But, I'll often talk about, like, one of my biggest gripes in society is the sort of epidemic, the crisis of fatherless homes.
Yeah. The single mother syndrome.
Right. Single mother syndrome. And I talk about, how these women, because of the dire circumstances of their situations, how they really have to step up and operate at an incredibly powerful level.
Yeah.
Because, they're put in a situation where they don't have time for pride. It's not about, certainly dignity and integrity, but this pride, that there is no pride when you have mouths to feed. And
you got to get it done.
Got to get it done. Master morality.
Yeah.
And what winds up happening, though, is because they become so strong, they wind up sabotaging the strength of their children, namely
they do all the
boys.
Work. Yeah, they do all the work.
Right. They don't know how to sort of allow this individual to become strong on his own. You know, it's it's the father that always serves as the mentor, for especially for young men, on how to be a man, on how to be masculine, on how to conduct himself a certain way. And so much of that is enabling them to do things on their own.
Yeah, like the little kid at the playground trying to climb the ladder, and he can't.
Right.
Tries again and he can't. Mom runs over, helps him up the ladder.
Right.
It's like if he can't climb the ladder, then he's not climbing the ladder today.
Right. So I remember my wife, who was a incredible mother, doting mother, and with my oldest, Hayden, when he was about 2, maybe 3, she would feed him. She'd sit there and she'd feed him.
Okay.
And it got to the point where I'm going, why don't you let him eat himself? Oh, he makes a mess. He has like you're sabotaging his ability to nourish himself
Yeah.
if you let him do it himself.
Yeah.
So it was, I said, you know what? Give me that. I said, I'll feed him. I was like, get out of here. I got it. Get out of here. I'm going to feed him. I gave him the fucking spoon. I said, eat. Half of it went on the floor. Then the next day, a little bit less. The next day, a little bit less. Well, you know what? That's her being a great mother.
Yeah.
But that's me also embracing the role of a father.
Yeah, you can't chew your kid's food.
Right? That's the dynamic
life.
that plays itself out.
Yeah.
Right? So when my kids, when they cry over silly shit, weak shit, they immediately want to go to their mother, and she'll every single time, take them into her arms. Probably less or so now, but my eyebrow goes up and I'm looking at her like, you better not give him a hug over that bullshit. You better let him work it out. We can come over here, we discuss this, but it's that dynamic that becomes so productive. Which is why we evolved with that dynamic in place.
Yeah, having consequences.
Right.
If you fail, you fail. Like, that's the whole point.
So when you talk about mama bears, now you're talking about any type of individual, not just moms.
No.
Really the opposite of that, of people who are trying to mother adults.
Yeah.
It's I feel bad. The guy with the sign, the perfectly healthy guy with the sign, hungry, cold, and the guy that you go and you give $5 to, like, what are you doing with that $5?
Throwing it away.
There was recently a video where they gave $100 to a homeless guy. Did you watch that video?
Which one? There's a couple.
The one where he went into the liquor store.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't watch that one yet.
So
I saw it, but I didn't get a chance.
So he went to they gave him $100 and they followed him. They sat back and they followed him. And he went into a liquor store. But it's California. Apparently California has like liquor marts where it's like, they sell booze there, but they also sell, it's like a convenience store.
Oh, okay.
And what he did was he used $100 to buy all this food. And he went to a local park and was handing it out to homeless people.
Oh, that's cool.
It was awesome. It's also fucking something that never fucking happens. So look, feel good story. I'm all about feel good story. The fucking Mighty Ducks, great movie. They did
that was the only guy they gave $100 to.
Well, and this is what I'm talking about.
The other ones were like shooting heroin with their eyeballs.
There's value in humanity. There's value in understanding that we're part of a collective. But you're not for an instant going to tell me that giving a homeless guy $100
is always going to result in that.
Or that even resulting in that is fucking doing any good.
Yeah, true.
What are you giving him $100 for so he can fucking spend it on all these other homeless fucking people?
So they have their
Now, this sounds so abrasive, but listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are you trying to feed him for a day, or are you trying to make sure that either his mindset or his circumstances change so that he is not homeless?
Yeah, if he invested that money into
You're not fucking helping him. No. You're helping you.
Yeah, because you feel good.
Whenever you give money to one of these fucking bums, and you know why we call them bums? Because they should be called bums. Want to know why? Because then nobody wants to be a bum.
They're not homeless. They're not.
It's looked at. You can't say bum. You got to say homeless. Yeah. That's that bullshit. Call him a bum.
Yeah, it's a bum.
Why? It's mean. Well, fuck him. It's mean. Let him get tough. Maybe if he was a little tougher, maybe he'd be able to climb out of this ditch. Maybe if he was tougher, he didn't wind up in his ditch in the first place. But I tell you what, whether stronger before, stronger now, whatever the case is. Moving forward, the only way he is going to get ahead is by developing a sense of fucking self-determination.
Yeah. You know what you're going to be, Jules? A fucking bum.
Right. So do you develop, self-determination and power by giving him $100?
Unless he takes $100 and uses it towards...
Unless he has it already and you just financed it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just think about it. Okay, this guy, it turns out that I think they interviewed him and he had lost his job recently. He had become divorced, I think.
Okay.
And lost everything in divorce, lost his job. So he was homeless not too long, which is telling. Because the guy who's been homeless for fucking 2-3 years, he's not spending $100 on everybody else. He's in fucking pure survival mode. This guy is so fucking inept that he doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a job. He's given $100 and he gives it away. You're a real humanitarian, you fucking idiot. You have no power. Who are you helping? You're doing nothing but sabotaging yourself. You want to help society? Become strong. People always talk about, they hate the rich, and I'm not rich, but it's certainly a ladder that I'm in the process of climbing, becoming to the point where, financially I don't have to rely on anybody, but it's who really helps people. The people who make sandwiches, I remember seeing this documentary, and this Indian dude. He goes and he feeds the homeless and the poor. And washes their feet. And stuff. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But I will say there is a definite limit to what is right with that. Right. What are you doing? Are you saying that we should all wash homeless people's feet? that the world would be a better place if we all, at the end of the day, took our food, made sandwiches, and went and fed the homeless people. At a certain point, where does reality step in? Getting back to, the gorillas, we're talking about the gorillas who were, attacked, or suffered some sort of catastrophic event that they wound up in basically this rehabilitation center.
Yeah.
And now they're going to be put back into the wild. So now let's apply that to the homeless situation. Let's take this ape, right, who was attacked, unhealthy, and you brought it to the point where it, death wasn't imminent. Its health was brought to the point where it could, exist on its own.
Yeah.
Like many homeless people are, right? Many homeless people, aren't dying of fucking leprosy, right?
True. Yeah.
And then what you do for the ape is you just spoil them. You feed them, you do this. You don't make them earn anything.
Nope.
You don't make them do anything.
Make them soft.
You don't make them socialize. When you're never going to be able to put this animal. It doesn't have to be an ape. Talk about cats. They talk about in captivity. They have to reteach these cats, or cats that were born in captivity. Teach them how to hunt.
Yeah. Because they don't have to do any of that
Teach
shit.
these lions how to operate within a pack, and it's all built towards autonomy.
Yeah.
Self-reliance, getting them to the point where they don't have to rely on anybody feeding them anymore. But when it comes to people, because people are so fucking weak, we don't have the strength, right? We can't overcome that pit in our stomachs when it comes to telling a fucking homeless guy, you know what, maybe you should get work.
Yeah.
Instead of asking me for a sandwich, you know what? You were here yesterday asking for a sandwich. What did you do between yesterday and today to not have to ask me for a sandwich right now?
That's the key.
And you really want to help
$100 towards that.
Right. You really want to help somebody? Find these people work. I have, my charity, the Little Booklings. What do? We give books to children.
Correct.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't give adults books. I don't give people money. I'm not looking to finance anybody. No. Sink or swim. Here's information. Grow.
Yeah,
become stronger.
Take it on yourself and find that power and use it.
Right. But it's never going to be me sort of becoming more powerful through them, because that's what this becomes.
Yeah. If that was the case, you'd walk around every day handing out people, giving money to people.
Right. And what am I really doing by
Just
that?
making yourself feel good.
Right. Make myself feel good. Make myself look good. Right.
Yeah.
Make myself feel good. Make myself look good, but ultimately doing dick.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
All right. So good episode. Masters and
legit.
Slaves. I'm looking forward to, we're going to do a Nietzsche episode.
Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine who is a PhD in philosophy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Nietzsche's his thing.
Well,
So-
he'd have an interesting take on it.
Well, I'm going to
regardless.
ask. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask him, and if we don't have him come in and do a Nietzsche episode, I'm at least going to have him come in, and Ayn Rand is one of his
Yeah.
subject matters that he enjoys discussing, and we'll
That'd
have
be
some
cool.
power. But if not, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I will find a Nietzsche expert,
Yeah.
and
we'll make it
bring
happen.
them in. We'll make it happen because he's just a fascinating world and body of work to explore.
And power players out there, if you guys know anybody,
Yeah, we need a Nietzsche expert.
yeah, let us know. Maybe you know
know.
somebody.
Let's fucking break it down.
Yeah.
All right, so make it happen, Pat.
All right,
What's
cool.
going on? Masters and Slaves.
Masters and slaves. Okay. Now, if you look at everything we've ever talked about, we're in the mass morality. We are strong-willed. The one thing I liked was that it said that if your equals will afford you distance and your lessers will fear you. So if there's someone that's doing the same thing you're doing, you guys have a mutual respect for each other. The people who aren't and the people who are weak, they will naturally fear you. So it's a thing where if you're doing the right thing and you're focused on the right things, you're going to be inherently doing good. You're going to be inherently creating power, creating strength. If you enable people, if you allow them to be weak, if you make excuses for them, you're creating that slave morality. You're creating that situation where they're going to remain weak and be content with being weak, as opposed to inspiring them to be strong and allowing them to grow and become strong themselves. So that's pretty much the summary.
When I see children who are slowly becoming little fucking faggots because of the parenting of the powers that are controlling their development, I have two reactions. Number one, what a shame.
Yeah.
But it's a useless reaction to say what a shame because it doesn't do anything in the real world.
Yeah.
The more, I would say, productive reaction is I think of my children, and I think my sons will be kings.
That's true. Yep.
And if everybody looked at their life as a vessel for power and strength, the world will be a better place. And this is what people don't understand. You say, no, you got to end war. You know how you end war? You win wars. That's how you end war.
100%. The bully versus bullied thing. Remember that?
100%. There's so many ways to illustrate a universal such as this.
Yeah.
The applications are endless. So my son, my oldest son, who I have probably the most productive conversations with, my other sons being 5 and 2. My 8-year-old, he and I talk about what it takes to get ahead, what it takes to be good at something. And just by the nature of our interactions, he doesn't let me help him with anything. I could do it myself.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, sometimes, strong people need help too. I know. With this, I don't need help, Daddy. Thank you, but I don't need help. And it's the beginning of a mindset that is going to serve him powerfully throughout his entire life.
It will. Yeah.
Why would somebody not want to be strong? Why would somebody not want to be those that they care about to be strong? Well, the blueprint is there, and the blueprint is not at the end of a fucking hug. Yeah. There's a time for compassion. Want to know when that time is?
When?
When you're dead.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Compassion is, according to Nietzsche, something that adds misery and suffering to the world. It doesn't solve it. If somebody's feeling bad and you look at them and you feel bad too, that adds to the net suffering of the world. It's not about feeling bad when you see somebody feeling bad. It's about helping them through strength. Saying be a man to a young man is an empowering mantra. It's not some sort of saboteur of progress in humanity. There are certain people that say nonviolence is the best way. You know who those people are?
Who?
People who can't fucking fight.
Yeah, usually.
You want to get to the point where what you are capable of becoming is a light at the end of a tunnel in which you're traveling. You never want to get to the point where you're saying darkness is light. Thank you all for listening. Great episode. Yeah. I could talk about this shit all fucking day, Pat. I get fired up.
It's good shit.
ThePressureProject.com is our website. Info@ThePressureProject.com is our contact email. Please subscribe to the channel. We have big plans for this year. If you saw our last episode was 81.
Correct.
The last video podcast episode, 81. We spoke about some of the goals we have Starting production on a documentary later in the year. We need to get this YouTube channel up.
Yeah, we got to get it moving.
Everything helps each other.
Yep.
We understand that, we're part of a collective of which you guys are also a part of.
True.
And we appreciate the strength. We appreciate the brotherhood. And let's power on. Yeah. So thank you again. We look forward to talking to you on the next episode. And as always, brothers, pressure to power.